with me to explain how everything, even the painful things, are actually all right, is Carol Taylor. She is coming to us from Canada, and she's one of the contributing authors in Time to Rise. Carol, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Andrea, for having me.
Well, I am so inspired by your story because I'm always impressed when somebody goes through a dramatic challenge or a health issue and they're able to come out on the other side and say, you know what, it's all right. Tell me a little bit about your diagnosis and how you got started even as a writer. I mean, it really did start from that point, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't even really plan on writing my last book. It just kind of happened. I wrote for me just so that I could get myself in a real good, positive mind space. And I wrote about all the good things so that I could be in a good place so that I didn't scare my boys. Yeah. And after it was all done, the boys said, I want to remember the good things. I don't want to remember it as the cancer years, but your writing is really scribbly and we need to do something about that. So I said, okay, I'll type it up. And so I typed it up and I gave it to family and a few friends and they said, take it further. And I said, okay, but if it stops being fun, then I'm just going to print a copy for the boys and I. And it just keeps getting more and more fun and more doors keep opening. And it's just been such a blessing.
Yes, I'm sure it was. So I'm sure that just the writing for yourself was a therapy in and of itself and kind of documenting things for your boys. But show us the book. I know you have a copy over there.
Yeah.
So Carol's first book, Smiling Single Mom, It's All Right. So what do you think, when you say you wanted to focus on the positive while you were going through chemotherapy, were you afraid that you might not be living very much longer? Is that also what came into your mind?
Yeah. Well, when they say, we don't know, we have no answers for you, we don't know. And so then you just have to, all of a sudden, when you face death, it's like all of a sudden things get flipped right around and you don't sweat the small stuff anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah. And how old were your boys when you got the diagnosis?
They were 11 and trying to remember back now. 11 and 15.
Okay.
Yeah. Or 8 and 15. I have to do the math, but yeah, they were in grade 4 and grade 9. I know that. So.
Yeah. And so after Smiling Single Mom, you have actually been also raising money for a local cancer project there near you, right?
Yeah. Tom Baker Cancer Center was where I had my treatment when I was in Calgary, and that's where I would go for chemo. I opted out of radiation, and I didn't do the drugs, the tamoxifen. I decided not to do that, but I had the chemotherapy there. And when I was going through it as a single mom, and no work, and I had to focus on my health, so I had to bite my cheek and ask for help, and they were very supportive. They helped us. They gave us Christmas presents at Christmas time. They helped pay for gas. They helped every way they could. So I thought to get me through that, and I thought like I'm giving back when I can. So $1 from each book that I sell goes back to them, and I've delivered one check so far for $400. So
that's
hopefully
awesome.
More. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me then, how did you get to this point of, sharing the positivity now with the world and definitely with this chapter in Time to Rise? Talk to me about the underlying philosophy about it's all right.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you were saying, when all of a sudden you're hit with the news of something like cancer, everything completely changes. And that was kind of the words that kind of came into my mind was it's going to be okay. It's all right. And yeah, so just you have to, okay, so it's all right to me means it's all right. The good things, the bad things, it's all just part of the journey. And once you relax and accept and go with what's happening, then things can transpire the way they need to. So you just have to let up control. That was a huge lesson for me, giving up resistance.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that whole idea of surrender and because, yeah, I mean, we're trained to always be looking out for what's wrong. So when you think, wait, I'm a single mom, I've got these two boys, I can't be sick, I can't have this diagnosis, we start to make everything wrong. But I still feel like it's, I don't know, it's very profound when I can hear someone say, you know what, it's all right. If you're able to just be in that space. And has it shifted you at all in terms of how you look at life I mean, you say it in your chapter that this is really a journey, but has it made you more spiritual? Do you can think about the meaning of life even more?
Mm-hmm, for sure. Yeah, I did a lot of reading and a lot of self-reflection and a lot of writing when I was sick and on the couch. So yes, a lot of people say to me, you're not the same person that you were 6 years ago. And I'm going, no, I'm not. Yeah, a lot has changed. Yeah.
So your next 3-year cycle basically just started. So talk to me about this kind of the 3-year cycle.
Okay. So there was 3 years where everything was kind of falling apart in my marriage. And then it took about 3 years to finalize the divorce. And then the same day that my divorce was stamped was the day that I was diagnosed. And then there was a 3-year cycle of healing and growing and learning and focusing on me because I realized that my bucket was completely empty and that's why I was here. And then 3 years to write and publish and market my new book. And a new 3-year cycle is starting as of August. So I can't wait to see what's going to unfold now.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so what do you want to do next? So, you're sharing kind of the update. So from your first book, Smiling Single Mom, we get into the chapter here. What do you think is the next 3 years? Do you envision doing another book or speaking, or what do you think?
I'm not even really sure. I am thinking maybe of taking my first book and rewriting it in a different way. It's because things can always be improved, right? And you can take things and you can improve on them. And just enjoying being a mom while Zachary's still in school.
Yeah.
He's in grade 9 now. And so 9, 10, 11, 12, he's gonna, like the next 3 years, I kind of really want to enjoy him to his fullest and to see what else opens, because doors open. And when they do, I just love to walk through them. So
I love that. Well, I'd love to talk about something that you mentioned in the book, and one of them was filling your bucket first. So you just said that you came to the understanding that your bucket was empty, which I think any parent can relate to that, but certainly a single mom, I can totally relate. But how do you make that shift? I think obviously because you were going through cancer treatment, so you knew you had to focus on you. But how would you say for other people who might feel like, no, that's selfish if I focus on me?
Yeah, I came to that huge realization that the reason that everything was falling apart and that I was sick was because I hadn't been taking care of me. And not everybody needs to be hit in the face with the mountain. I hope that more people can realize before everything collapses around them, that it's okay to love yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself. And most importantly, if you don't, then you're no good to anybody around you. So you have to look out for yourself first. Just like when you're on an airplane, I remember traveling with my boys, and they said, well, if something happens, you put the air mask on yourself first, and then you take care of other people. And I was like, no, I would take care of my babies first, right? And then afterwards I was thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, that totally hit me hard, because you need to take care of yourself first and love yourself.
And I think one of the other keys that you mentioned in your chapter is also just being able to say no to stuff. Like if you don't want to do something, don't do it. And I think a lot of us as parents, especially moms, sometimes we do things out of obligation. We feel like it's this major duty. But you're saying, go within, trust your own heart.
Yeah, for sure. And that's when things start to fall apart, is when you're not listening to yourself, and you're pushing, and you're letting other people control everything that you're doing. And that's when things start to fall apart. And then if you keep letting it go, the bucket does go dry. And then the universe gives you a huge wake-up call, because they're not listening to all the small red flags. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful reminder to listen. Listen to your body, listen to the signs.
Yes.
Well, Carol, I'd like to shift gears a little bit. And I'm really curious about this letter that you wrote to your father as he was dealing with depression and anxiety, something that I know I have dealt with, and it's a dark period of life for those who have never experienced it. But what motivated you to write this letter to your father?
I saw him struggling, and I was in the hospital, and I was holding his hand, and I just I went home, and I thought, I just need to do something for him. And so I wrote this letter. And afterwards I thought, I'm writing it for me too, because it all just kind of floated on the paper. And then I read it, and then I cried, and then I rewrote it so that it wasn't scribbly. And then I gave it to him, and he says, and he cried when he got it too. And so, yeah, it helped. It helped him and me. But yeah, I focused on things like believe, that he needs to believe in himself, number one, fill up his bucket, and to trust in his support people, which was me and the family and the doctors and nurses, and to give into that and to trust, because he was there for me and supported me, and to listen to his intuition, because if something feels right or wrong in his heart, that he needs to listen to that too. To focus on his cause, because we all have different causes. And my cause was stress for cancer. I figured that out. And his was as well, I think, but everyone has their own cause. And then to think about things like prevention, and what can we do to prevent it from happening again. And that's the fun part, because that's where I learned so much. There's all kinds of neat things out there that can help you prevent you sliding back to where you were, and to just surrender that it's okay. It's okay where you are, and just to go with it, and to things will always work out. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. I think most of us wouldn't imagine having to be that comfort to our own parents. So I think it's so beautiful that you wrote it, but it's also beautiful that you shared it with us in the book. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I want to just maybe round out our conversation with the other thing, which is this idea about awakening and aligning to your authentic self. I'm curious, obviously my show is called Liberate Your Authentic Self, but I'm really curious to hear from you. What do you consider the authentic self? Who are you really?
To me, I think that your authentic self is who you are at your soul and at your core. And it is who you can be when you're goofy. It's who you are when you are funny. It's when you are happy. It's when you are sad. It is who you are, and it's who you were born as, and it's how you're connected to universal energy, God, source, whatever you want to call it.
And the third thing that you said about it is not just awakening and aligning, but that you want to look for ways to create.
Yeah, that's funny, because just this morning I was looking at that and I was going, okay, so this is awaken, and then this is align, and then create.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, create is the best part of it. Yeah, and when your bucket's empty, there's no way you can create. You have to work on the awakening and the aligning, and then you can create or help or whatever. Yeah.
I love that. So for those that are listening on the radio, you couldn't see that she was making the little heart hands for awaken, and prayer or touching your heart for alignment, and then creating arms outstretched, where who knows what you could manifest and bring to the universe. Well, again, Carol, it's been such a pleasure to get to know you and to be connected with you and to bring your message to the world. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the first book, if it does get, its second edition, so we can have you back on and hear where that goes. But again, I just want to thank you for being so positive and so brave and courageous in this whole experience, because I really think it's a blessing to others.
Well, thank you for having me. Without that email that I got that said join and my heart said do it, I wouldn't be here now either. So thank you.
It's a pleasure. So, my friends, if you would like to check out what Carol is doing, or you'd like to help out with a donation, visit smiling-single-mom.ca. That's smiling-single-mom.ca, and of course all the links will be in the description here. So Carol, I wish you well. Thank you again, and we'll be connected again soon. Much love. Bye.
Bye.
How do you pick yourself up when life knocks you down? Perseverance, grit, determination, resilience. These words describe natural human qualities which help us bounce back after any type of setback: illness, loss, betrayal, bankruptcy, divorce, abuse, and trauma. No one is immune to experiencing the tragedies of life at some point. Learning how to use your potential to rise again is what will keep you going.
I'm Dr. Andrea Pennington, creator and publisher of Time to Rise. In Time to Rise, 29 inspiring changemakers share their personal stories of transformation to prove that you can reclaim your life, find your purpose, and re-emerge as the powerful creator that you are. It can be tempting to think that the people who succeed in life, or who recover after major devastating loss, are special or somehow endowed with magical powers. The reality is, within you are the very same powers. You have the potential to live a life of meaning and purpose in alignment with your values. You have the right and the power to reclaim wellness, live with vitality, and enjoy real happiness. Get your copy of Time to Rise and enjoy free gifts with your purchase. May this book help you reconnect to who you really are. May you find peace and hope. May you claim this moment as your time to rise. Visit timetorise.me and buy the book anywhere books are sold.